everyone, it's Hatsy and welcome to another speed build on the channel. So today we're going to be building Winterfell from the Game of Thrones series, and it's actually a collaboration with the Great Symphony, aka Zoe, and she is going to be building the Red Keep on her channel because we're not doing the traditional sort of collaboration that a lot of people do in the community where one person builds the exterior and then the other person builds the interior. We thought we would do something slightly different because we both really enjoy doing exteriors and it just sort of made sense. So I haven't actually seen Zoe's build yet, so I'm going to be really surprised like when I go over there and when I go and see her video. I'm really excited for it. So yes, definitely go and check out her channel after you're done with this one, and that will be in the description below. So anyway, I am a massive fan of Game of Thrones and I've been wanting to build something from the Game of Thrones series for a very long time. And I actually really tried to get into the books as well because I am in love with this series. It is the best series I have ever watched on television and I love it. Of course, I would not recommend it for my younger viewers whatsoever because it's just like not age appropriate whatsoever. I would say that if you're under the age of like 18, don't watch it because it's a little bit gruesome. There are some parts which just may not be suitable. And it was actually really funny because what happened was the first time that I watched the series, I sort of forgot about how much content, as in like content that you wouldn't want to watch maybe with your mum or your dad or anybody in your family, were in the first few parts of Game of Thrones, because I sort of believe like the first time I watched the series through that it was pretty innocent until about episode 5 or episode 6. So there I was in Germany. I invited my mum round to come and stay with me. And what do you think I put on the television? I put on Game of Thrones. And I told her how amazing it was of a series and she should definitely watch it. And yeah, she should. She just shouldn't watch it with a daughter. And it got really awkward really quickly. And yes, I definitely shouldn't have put that on the television. Not with my mum. It was just a very awkward moment. But no, it's absolutely fantastic, and I have read, I think, about half or maybe 3/4 of book 1. I mean, to be completely honest with everybody, I'm not a big reader. I would still consider myself to be a big fan of the series because I have watched like so many conspiracy videos. Honestly, if I see a conspiracy video, no matter what I'm doing at the time, I could be like editing my own videos on YouTube. If I see a conspiracy or your theory about Game of Thrones come up, I will click on that faster than any other video online just because I love them. So I've read all about who could be the possible mum of such and such and who could be sisters with such and such, and it's so interesting. I love it. So yeah, it's just a series that you can really think about and I just love that about it. So I was really excited to build it, and I was actually planning on doing a Game of Thrones build a very long time ago, but to be honest, I've just been really busy with Disney builds and just other series that I've been doing. I just haven't had time. And also I do have like a younger audience, so I don't know how many people will be interested in builds like this. Fingers crossed, a few of you. I don't know. But the builds that tend to be book builds do tend to get the most criticism as well. For instance, Hogwarts, I have never got so many messages like, you should have included this, 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 and this, and this. And I get it because I feel like if you read the books, then you know so much stuff and you want it to be completely perfect to the way that you imagine it, but sometimes it isn't. And with me, I would love to have read the books more than I did, but I haven't really explained this on the channel. I've had a massive issue with concentration in the past, and it's something that's like stuck with me for life. But I think it started when I was like 11 or 12. And even now when I'm recording, I can hear my husband in the background on his keyboard and it is so distracting and he can't help it, you know, he's like talking with his friends and stuff, but still it's that sort of thing. And I don't know, I've always got it with like books, etc. And I just can't sit down and read a book for a very long time because I get very easily distracted. So yeah, it's definitely something that I struggled with at school. And it was really odd because from about the age of, like 11 or 12, the teachers were convinced there was something wrong with me. And they must have sent me to like a place to go and get tested for something else like every other month or so. And it got to the point where the teachers were getting really annoyed because I just like wasn't focusing in class. I was reading the books, but I wasn't retaining any of the information. I would do the same like when they would speak to me, because I can have like a full-on conversation with somebody, but if there's noise going off in the background, I can't do it. I don't know what it is. So yeah, it was really strange actually, because I ended up moving schools because, well, one, the school that I was in was going bankrupt, and two, the school, I just wasn't doing very well in my GCSEs because it was going bankrupt. So the teachers were very like stressed, etc. They were thinking about like their own lives. So we weren't getting a lot of attention during the GCSE stage of learning. So anyway, I moved school, and the teacher pretty much turned around to my mum and said, look, I'm trying to teach your daughter, but she just can't learn. Like, we've put a book in front of her, she's reading it, she's not retaining any of the information, and also she just can't concentrate in class. So that was when I was reading The Great Gatsby, and he turned around to my mum and said, look, she's predicted an F at the moment because she's going to fail. And what happened was, I was on the brink of failing this GCSE. I was so close and I was so miserable. And then the film came out. So I watched the whole film, I think about maybe 2 or 3 times. I kept like going back to the cinema at the time it was out. And just to my luck, the film was pretty much exactly the same as the book series. So every single question that I got on paper about the book during GCSEs, I just thought about the film. It was easy, you know? So anyway, I think I got about a B+. Maybe I even got an A. I honestly can't remember. GCSEs were so long ago. But yeah, so I got like a B+ for IGCSE, which to be fair is pretty good. I'm excited about that. I was excited about that anyway. So that was a really strange story, but yeah, I was very lucky at the time. So if you're having the same issues as I did at school, then just try and look for the film version, because hey, you might pass. So anyway, going to the topic of Christmas. Now, by the time you're watching this, it may have been Christmas. You may have already had your Christmas, and if you have, let me know in the comments, did you have a good Christmas? If you celebrate it, of course. And if you don't celebrate it, let me know what you did instead. Because it's not Christmas for me just yet. It's actually the 23rd when I'm recording this. I'm trying to pre-record a lot of my videos because I'm actually going to Prague and I'm taking my camera. So I'm going to be hopefully vlogging some stuff in Prague. I'm excited. I'm very excited because Prague has the prettiest buildings there. So it's going to be a really good time. So I've been practicing cooking for Christmas because I mentioned in one of my other videos that I'm actually having my husband's family around to the house and I'm going to be cooking Christmas dinner by myself, which I'm excited for because I've never taken on a challenge like that. So it's going to be an interesting time. But I've been practicing every single weekend to try and cook like a proper dinner, and I don't actually eat a lot of meat. It's like my husband and his family that eat a lot of meat. I just tend to eat like the vegetables on the plate and stuff, but I still want to do like a traditional Christmas dinner. So anyway, what's been happening is we've had an issue like since moving to the new house with our bins. Now, we didn't get the bins when we first moved in, which was really strange, and I think it's like pretty bad of the council, I'm not gonna lie. So if anyone from the council is watching this, you know who you are, and you haven't delivered our bins. I just think that 3 weeks, like after moving into a new house, I just don't think that I should be making like trips back into the tip, which I've had to keep doing. And not only that though, so our bins got delivered I think a week ago on a Tuesday, and then when I put the bin out on a Wednesday because that was bin day, I read online that they weren't even going to collect the bins that Wednesday because it's Christmas and they like to have time off. Apparently, well anyway, our bins didn't get collected. I don't know about like anyone else, but our bins didn't get taken. So we've had to keep our bins outside. We haven't wanted to put them like in the garage or anything, because, well, it's a garage, you know, we don't want like stuff to get in there. So we've kept them outside. The bin's full at this time, so we've just got like bin bags in the garden. It looks awful. Anyway, so my dogs go outside to the garden like I think maybe 4 or 5 times a day. They just like go and sit out there, maybe even more than that. They're out there a lot, and we didn't realise this, but they haven't been hungry for I think maybe the past 2 to 3 days, and I just thought, well, they've had some pretty big bones recently, they're probably not going to be that hungry, they're okay. My husband found that when he opened the door to let them back inside, I think it was last night, he realised there was a massive hole in one of the bags, and he saw my youngest dog, Maisie, running around with the Sunday roast dinner in her mouth, and we don't even know which Sunday roast dinner that was. But honestly, I could not stop laughing for hours last night. That is just the funniest thing I've possibly ever seen. Well, I haven't even seen it. It was just the way that he came upstairs and he said, I think I know why the dogs haven't been hungry. It's because they've been having a full roast dinner every day without our knowledge. So yeah, that is my little story on my dogs, but we've actually like got rid of that now. And I mean, they've been hungry today, so it's all good. But anyway, back to the build. So I do want to go over some brief things that I didn't put in that I would be adding if I was to do a part 2 of the build. So if you do want a part 2, then let me know in the comments below, because I can definitely do that and I would be excited to do it. But the reason why I didn't do like the whole of the exterior in this part, and I did leave like some details out, was actually because this build in total took me about 3 to 4 hours, and it was just getting too long. Like, it would have been a 40-minute video if I'd have carried on, and I find those videos really hard. But anyway, the things that I left out was the downstairs part of Winterfell, like the basement or the dungeon part, where Robert Baratheon visits Ned Stark in the first episode, I believe. He goes to see Lyanna in the basement part, and he goes to like pay his respects. So I left that bit out of the build, and I also left out the part, I don't want to say it because it's going to spoil it, but the part where the dogs were kept, which also may be the dungeons. So there we go. I don't want to say direwolves because there's not direwolves, so if you've watched the series and you're up to date with it, then hopefully you'll understand that reference to where the dogs were kept by a certain someone. So there we go. I'm not going to spoil anything because, of course, if you haven't watched it, it is just not fair of me. I don't want to be that person. And, do you know, there are so many people on Twitter that spoil things for me. I'm sick of it. I've had to mute so many Sims people. I'm not even joking. I'm not even going to dress this up now. I have, because what happens is, like, whenever a good series is on, like Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead or American Horror Story, I don't know, something that I watch, there is always that one person in the community that just tweets about it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe such and such died. And it just ruins it, because like, I'm thinking, hang on, I subscribe to this person, or I follow this person on Twitter, because you can't subscribe to people on Twitter, I don't think. You can follow people. But I think to myself, I follow this person on Twitter to see their Sims creations, and they're tweeting about somebody dying in my favourite series. I'm not putting it with that. So yeah, I do. That is my just thing that I'm going to admit. But anyway though, the roofing. So moving on, we have some mixed roofing because I want to make room for the stables and stuff, because I would imagine like there's a lot of horses at Winterfell, there's a lot of stables, etc. So it's going to be tricky to decorate. That is, if there is going to be a part 2, because I would imagine that a lot of it is like hay and stables and just like random buckets and just like broken beds. I don't know. That is just how I imagine Winterfell, and it's also how it is portrayed in the series. The other thing is, it was very difficult to get a proper floor plan of Winterfell, and that is because a lot of the ones online are just fan-made versions. So I saw a lot of people creating Winterfell in like Minecraft and other places, but that's the problem, because I don't want to take somebody else's like hard work, because I would feel bad if I just like copied somebody's floor plan or whatever. So I didn't want to do that. There aren't many angles of it that are actually from the TV series, so it was very difficult to be able to get everything right. I tried. I had like a whole mood board on Photoshop of like all these different inspiration pictures, but saying that, I would be happy to change absolutely anything if you're not happy with it. Like, if there's a certain thing that I've left out, I think there's like a crooked castle part in the back, which I'd actually change in part 2, and I would include the crooked castle or the broken down castle. I can't remember. There wouldn't be like add-ons though that are outside of Winterfell. Like, I'm not going to start building the wall or anything like that. That would just be insane. And also we have like a limit on The Sims 4. But that would be a really interesting creation actually. Just like a huge wall. And I would love to see if you use this in your own game as well. So another thing was finding the right windows. Now, we don't have many medieval things with The Sims 4, so I feel like I'm making a lot of excuses for myself. But seriously, we don't. We haven't had like any medieval stuff packs, game packs, expansion packs. Everything that we've had has been pretty modern, which is really annoying for people like me. People like me that enjoy traditional expansion packs and just like medieval stuff, because that's what I love about The Sims. And that's actually what I chose to do with like my Sims 3 games. Some of my favourite Sims 3 storylines were actually involving like castles or mansions, and I actually downloaded some stuff off the Sims 3 studio, I think it was called. So I got like some mansions from there, but I also like added bits on myself. I wasn't that into building with The Sims 3. I think mainly towards the end, that's when like I picked up building. But no, I just used to play with the families a lot of the time. And yeah, I used to build sometimes, but my builds weren't that great. I built a really weird thing. So I built a mansion that was outdoors, but it was an indoor mansion. If that makes any sense. It doesn't, absolutely doesn't. But no, what I mean by that is like every single room in the mansion looked like it was outdoors. So it was just a really backwards house. It was odd. It may as well have just been outside, but I think The Sims actually got really upset like if you had an outside house, or if you didn't have like all the walls being complete, because I don't know, it's just petty to me. No, it's not really. But I just think that it's just fun that way. But it was a shame because I used to love playing with like really big creations. But the problem was that my computer would never load it because I didn't have like a very good computer at that time. So I just used to have like the laggiest game ever, but I just used to put up with it because I wanted the big mansion sort of thing. But no, I think I've been playing The Sims for about, I think more than like 10, 15 years. And when I first got it, I think it was for like a Christmas present. And then my parents saw the age restriction on it, which was like 12, I think. So I wasn't allowed to play it like by myself. I had to play it with my sister. And that was just an absolute disaster because my sister doesn't share anything. So it was a nightmare. And what happened was, I remember that I think after Christmas, she got the computer out and she set it all up. And she made all her families. And she said, right now, Harry, it's your turn. And I looked at the board because we had like one of the like first Sims boards and there's only like a few plots on there sort of thing. Well, I looked on it. There was one plot left. And it was like the smallest plot in the corner. And she just said, there you go, do what you will. And that was me. Like that was my little plot just there. And I couldn't have like any of the other space in the world. So I just said, well, would there be any chance that I could maybe have like a bigger plot to build on? And she just sort of shook her head. And she was like, look, if you want to share The Sims with me, we're going to have to play this fairly. So you get the smallest plots. Really strange. But no, that was my story. So that's how I think that I got into The Sims. I think that maybe that started my obsession with The Sims because it got to the point where I really couldn't like build on bigger plots or have like families on bigger plots. So when I could actually have like more freedom on the game and I got like my own laptop, and even now like with my computer, I just like to play with big builds because I was never allowed to do that. So there we go. And it was really funny as well because like when I did used to build with my sister, we would build the worst creations ever. So my sister's version of a house was just like building a straight square and then a roof on top, if you were lucky. Just if you were lucky, bear in mind. And my version of a house would have to include those pink flamingos that we got with The Sims 1. And then it would probably have no roof. And if it did, there would be bits missing. And then I would be having a little rant about why. Why was it missing? I don't know. I don't know what was happening. But all my Sims were getting really depressed. Another thing as well was I got really close to this one family. And it may have been The Sims 2 at this point. Honestly, can't remember. But there was basically this woman and she lived in like a caravan almost and she had like 5 kids. Now, I did not make up this storyline. This was like just, it arrived on the game. But I've never seen any posts about her since. Because you know that sometimes like Maxis, well, EA, like pretty much just invent the characters back into the game, like Bella Goth and Mortimer Goth have been with the Sims franchise for how long? I mean, since I can remember, they've always had like a part of it, you know? Anyway, this woman, so I got really attached to her. But her kids were just impossible to follow. So I think like one got sent to military school, and that really upset me because I didn't want him to go, and it was just like really sad just seeing him leave because I had big plans for this one. But no. So after that, I just like took it upon myself to really look after the kids, and I was doing so well until like one rainy day when I had to go and have tea and I had to go and leave my computer on. Well, I left it running and it was on play mode. So I got back to find that the social worker was on her way to the house. I was freaking out. I was about, oh my goodness, I was like 12 probably at this time. And I was freaking out. The social worker coming, I was shaking. Like as this woman was arriving, it was terrifying. So anyway, I could pause the game, and what I decided to do was actually like build a wall around her. And I didn't know what to do. Like all I could do was like prolong her visit, but it wasn't going to do anything. Like this social worker problem wasn't going to go away. It was like the saddest moment ever of just my Sims history, just seeing this woman. Just like fences being built around her, and then she would like get through the fence and I'd have to build another. And she was getting like closer and closer to the baby each time. And I was trying everything just in my power to age that child up. I don't even know if that would have made a difference. But no, she ended up collecting the child in the end. And that is the end of the build. So I feel really bad ending on that note. But no, it wasn't a happy story. It was quite sad. But no, it's fine. You know, it's a Sims. Stuff happens. But it's a funny story to tell, I guess, on The Sims. But I wouldn't do that again. But anyway, no, that is the end of it. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Of course, if you did, don't forget to go and head over to Zoe's channel to go and see the Red Keep, which she's going to be building. And also, if you want to see a part 2, then let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll speak to you all soon.